Billionaire reveals incredible test with 4 women. What the maid bought will leave you speechless. Alex Carter stood on the balcony of his opulent mansion, overlooking the manicured lawns and glittering pools of his suburban oasis. He was a self-made billionaire whose empire towered over the spectacle of wealth, but behind the facade of success lay a profound discontent. What did it all mean? He was tired of shallow conversations filled with names and numbers, the gloss of social status, a hollow currency that seemed to define too many people's worth. That's why he devised an experiment, a chance to dig deeper into humanity. He invited 4 women to join him for a weekend retreat, each one a reflection of different struggles. As they arrived, the intoxicating scent of fresh lilies danced through the high-ceilinged foyer, where laughter echoed like a heartbeat. A top chef prepared gourmet meals, fragrant dishes that made some feel like the aliens in this world of excess. This was more than just a getaway, it was a crucible for ambition and dreams. First there was Amelia, the corporate powerhouse, her heels clicking on the marble floor. She was trapped, it seemed. Balancing career and family felt like juggling fire. Next came Lena, a single mother, her shoulders heavy but her spirit unyielding. With every smile, she shielded her children from her worries about bills that seemed to multiply overnight. Sophia, the college student, entered with hope painted on her face yet weighed down by crushing student debt. And lastly Mabel, the elderly woman with a heart of gold, brought warmth, a lifetime dedicated to nurturing her community. Though she often felt invisible as the clock ticked on the first evening, it pushed them all into intimate conversations that peeled back layers. Sometimes I think I'm drowning, Sophia confessed, her voice cracking, echoing the palpable tension that lingered like fog. Each shared story resonated painfully, and all Alex could do was listen, trapped between admiration and urgency. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But just as the raw vulnerability connected them, a flicker of illumination appeared. Maria, the humble maid who kept the mansion sparkling like a diamond, stepped into the spotlight. With a shy smile, she unveiled a small yet significant gift. She arranged a basket for a local children's charity. The room fell silent. It was a moment that caused the air to shimmer with raw emotion. Here was a woman who navigated her own struggles with grace, embodying true compassion that overshadowed the wealth surrounding them. Their collective breath caught as they realized that real success could not simply be measured in luxury, but in impact. As the echoes of acceptance faded away, Alex felt the ground shift beneath him. Each woman confronted her demons and shared her fears. The weight of privilege versus perseverance, the boundaries of ambition, and the essence of true worth. Each story was a thread, weaving them together in shared human experience. Just when the bond seemed unbreakable, an offhand comment about Maria's charity sparked a fierce debate. The conversation swelled with passion, leaving unresolved questions about justice, privilege, and dignity in its wake. They were on the brink of a revelation that could change everything, with emotions running high and the realization of how interconnected they all were hanging palpably in the air. Alex found himself caught in a hurricane of thoughts. What did all this richness mean? Were the answers to their struggles hidden in the deeper connections they shared, far beyond financial worth? The stage was set, but where would the journey lead them next? The tension in the room was electric, and for a moment it felt like time stood still. Each woman's gaze was fixed on Alex, expectant, almost pleading for him to lead them back from the edge of conflict. The reality of their different worlds suddenly felt all too real. Maybe we're all searching for meaning, Alex began, his voice steady yet filled with uncertainty. What if we took this discussion further? What if we engaged not just in talk but in action? A flicker of hope sparked in the air, momentarily cutting through the tension. Amelia, her posture still rigid despite her scanning eyes, spoke up. What do you mean by action? You just want us to throw money at problems? Her words were laced with skepticism, but beneath it lay a yearning for resolution. No, that's not it, Alex replied, shaking his head. I mean, we have to forge a connection that goes beyond our own experiences. We each carry a piece of each other's struggles. Lena's face softened. I can't just walk away from my kids to chase some ideal, she murmured, her voice trembling with vulnerability. They're my priority. Every single day. The room quieted as every word sank in. Mabel, ever the nurturer, reached out, placing a hand on Lena's. You don't have to abandon your kids to help others, dear. It's about giving your heart as you go about your life. You know, nourishing that part of yourself that wants to give. Sophia leaned in, her eyes brighter now. What if we created something like a community project? Something that really works? We could combine our strengths. Imagine the impact. Alex's heart raced. This was the moment he had hoped for, that flicker of potential they could ignite together. Yes. What if we each use what we have to make something bigger? Not just charity but a movement. A buzz of excitement began to fill the air. As the women's expression shifted from skepticism to curiosity, ideas began to flow. They brainstormed as if they had been waiting for this moment their entire lives. A community garden for nourishment. Scholarship funds for students like Sophia. Workshops for mothers to balance work and family responsibilities. With each idea that surfaced, Alex could feel the walls he had built around himself crumbling a little bit more. But then a question lingered behind the thrill. And what about Maria? Amelia suddenly asked. Would she be a part of this? A sense of quiet descended over the group. They hadn't thought about her contribution, or how to ensure that everyone's voice was included as they created their vision. The reality of privilege and power dynamics hung above them again. Of course she should, Alex replied, frowning at his own oversight. She's the heart of this place, and we've just witnessed the kind of compassion we need to emulate. It can't just be us. It must include her. As they prepared to go find Maria, Alex felt a rush of urgency. They had started something powerful, but could this group actually take it beyond dreams? Would they sustain the momentum after the weekend ended? The door swung open, revealing Maria standing just outside, a curious expression crossing her face. I heard my name. The women froze, their enthusiasm checking at the door. How would they share their ideas? Would Maria even feel welcome in their ambitious plans? 1,000 thoughts raced through Alex's mind. Everything hung in the balance as they faced her. The answer felt momentous, and at that moment, he understood that true transformation had to begin with deep inclusivity, or it would all crumble like sandcastles at high tide. Come in, Maria, Alex finally said, his heart racing. We want you to be part of something big. What Maria would say next could alter their path forever. Would she embrace the invite or retreat back to her quieter world? The silence thickened and all eyes were on her, waiting for the moment that could change everything. Maria stood on the threshold, her brow furrowing slightly. It felt like the air had thickened with every heartbeat, making the unresolved tension almost tangible. She shifted her weight from one foot to the other, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Me? She asked, incredulous at the thought of being part of something so grand. Why would you want my input? Alex stepped forward, his voice warm and earnest. Because you're the heart of this community, Maria. You know its pulse better than anyone. We need your perspective if we want to make a real difference. Mabel leaned in, her hand still resting on Lena's, silently urging her to join in the moment. You have a gift for understanding people, Maria. You see things that others overlook. We need voices like yours, she added, her voice sincere and filled with conviction. Maria's gaze darted among the women, each face reflecting hope and eagerness. Yet, insecurities bubbled within her. What value could her thoughts bring to this ambitious dream? Sophia took a small step forward, her excitement shining through. We're just starting to brainstorm, and your experiences can help guide us. What do you think we need most? Crickets chirped outside, the evening's stillness enveloping the room. Maria inhaled deeply, feeling the lump in her throat. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Maybe we could start with what you see around us, Maria, Alex pressed gently. You've lived it. Your insight could be our grounding force. You could show us what the community truly needs. Something inside Maria began to thaw. The silence weighed heavily, but against it, a quiet resolve began to emerge. Well, there is a lot. There's food insecurity, she started hesitantly, remembering the long lines at the local pantry. People often have to choose between paying rent and putting food on the table. As she spoke, the women leaned in closer, eyes locked on her, hanging on every word. Each statement she shared painted a vivid picture, revealing struggles she had witnessed. The energy in the room shifted as they listened, each woman feeling the weight of her words evolve into a shared conviction. And the kids, Maria continued, they need after-school programs, somewhere safe to go. It's not just about food, it's about opportunities. They deserve that chance. With each point Maria raised, her confidence grew. It was a dance, a rhythmic back and forth of ideas sparking life. The women nodded, brainstorming as they built on her thoughts. They felt lighter, as if they were joining hands to lift not just each other but also their community. Let us do something about this, Alex proposed, his excitement returning. Let us make creating those opportunities our first action. But amid the buzz of new ideas, a flicker of fear crossed Maria's face. What if it fails? She whispered, halting the momentum just as quickly as it had built. What if we try and it doesn't work? What will that say about us? The room fell silent again. The question hung heavily, challenging each of their spirits. Sophia courageously spoke up. Then we learn. We learn and we try again. That's what matters, right? It's about the effort. We can't do nothing just because we're afraid it won't succeed. Maria's heart swelled, each woman's words weaving a tapestry of connection. Overwhelmed, she caught Alex's gaze, and in that instant, everything seemed to shift. He saw her, really saw her, in all her fears and vulnerabilities. It was a moment of pure understanding, a thread connecting them to the shared responsibility they each carried. Okay, Maria whispered finally, her voice steady but tinged with apprehension. I'm in. I'll help. The group erupted in quiet cheers, relief washing over them like a warm breeze. They had taken a collective step forward, and Maria felt the weight on her shoulders lessen. But lingering doubt still danced in her mind. Would love and teamwork be enough to overcome the mountains they faced? And as the conversation flowed on, Alex couldn't ignore the feeling that raging storms were still on the horizon, tests that could shake everything they were building. As their collective dreams began to outline themselves, an unforeseen shadow loomed just outside their bubble of hope. The truth of what lay ahead was yet to be revealed. Maria took a deep breath, the weight of the moment still heavy on her shoulders. She felt a mix of excitement and fear swirl in her stomach. The little triumph of agreeing to help felt clouded by the enormity of what lay ahead. Alex was still buzzing with ideas, his enthusiasm infectious. Okay, let us break this down. We'll need a plan. Resources, volunteers. Who can we talk to first? The women gathered closer, their thoughts bouncing around like fireflies on a summer night. Maybe local businesses would want to help, suggested Mabel. They often want to give back, especially if it means bringing in customers. Good point, Sophia chimed in. And perhaps we could do a fundraiser? Something to raise awareness but also to gather funds for materials, food, whatever we need. Maria nodded, but what filled her mind was a concern that wouldn't let go. We have to ensure the kids and families feel safe with us. We can't just swoop in with all these ideas without building trust. We'll take it slow, Alex replied, a reassuring smile crossing his face. We'll make connections first. I think a community event could work wonders. A picnic, maybe? A chance for everyone to come together and see what we're about. The rhythm of hope buzzed around the room, and for the first time Maria pictured it. Tables filled with food, laughter echoing under the trees, kids running through grass. It was beautiful, but a tiny voice whispered doubts in her mind. What if no one showed up? What if no one cared? Let us talk to folks at the church, Mabel suggested. They have connections we might not know about. Exactly, Alex responded, his energy unwavering. We'll start small, build our network. Trust will grow with consistent effort. They began making lists, scribbling potential names and ideas in a haphazard fashion across napkins and sticky notes. Laughter emerged amidst the seriousness. It felt like a homecoming, a gathering of friends invested in a shared vision. But as they mapped out their strategies, an unsettling thought ricocheted around Maria's mind. What if there are bigger issues we don't see? She asked, voice quiet. What if we don't really change anything? Sophia paused, her brow furrowing. We will change something, she countered gently. Even small changes can spark waves. If we reach even a few people, that's a start. We can't control everything. Maria's heart pounded as Sophia's words sank in. It was true. She had spent years fighting battles against hopelessness, Maybe this was just the beginning. Maybe they could carve out a piece of hope among the struggles. I hope so, she murmured, gratitude swelling within her for these women determined and unyielding in their spirit. As they pushed forward, a knock rang out from the door, slicing through their bubble of plans. Curious glances were exchanged, an air of uncertainty descending. Who could that be? Alex asked. Mabel shrugged, her eyes narrowing. Slate. Maria's stomach twisted, a feeling of unease creeping back. Was this good or bad? They would find out soon enough, but a gnawing sense of foreboding didn't leave her. Alex opened the door and the figure of a man stood in the threshold, his sharp suit and solemn expression contrasting starkly with the laughter and hopes inside. The atmosphere shifted, tension gathering like storm clouds, and Maria felt an inexplicable chill race up her spine. Can I help you? Alex asked, uncertainty threading his voice. The man folded his arms, surveying the room and its occupants. I think it's time we talked. Maria's heart raced. What did he want? And what did this mean for the plans they had only just begun to ignite? She exchanged worried looks with the women, the room's hopeful ambience hovering precariously on the brink of change. Would this be a moment of opportunity or a threat to everything they were building? The man glanced over them, his sharp gaze settling on Maria. Can I come in? He asked, his tone leaving no room for refusal. There was an authority about him, something serious that sent chills down Maria's spine. Sure. Alex stepped aside, and the man crossed the threshold, the tension in the room thickening. Let us get to the point, he began, folding his arms tighter. I'm here because I heard about your plans. The community picnic, the outreach. His words were brisk, not warm in the slightest. I represent a foundation that might help you. Sophia's eyes lit up. Really? That's incredible. What kind of help are you offering? Maria's heart raced faster. A foundation. This could be the opportunity they needed. Yet, something stayed lodged in her chest, warning her to tread carefully. The man continued, funding. Resources. But it comes at a cost. He paused, letting the silence linger. What sort of cost? Mabel asked, brow furrowing, her instinct to protect the group's ambitions kicking in. Simple. We need to know you're serious about this. I want periodic updates, transparency, maybe even some public appearances to endorse our project. You'll be part of the story we want to tell. Maria felt her stomach twist. It sounded enticing, but a sense of dread crept in. And if we don't agree to your conditions? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Then the offer disappears and so does the funding. He leaned forward, his voice lowering. It's a win-win for both of us, but we can't waste time. The community needs resources fast. The group exchanged nervous glances. On one hand, funding could galvanize their efforts, spark the hope they daydreamed about. But at what cost? Could they risk losing their autonomy, their vision, just to chase a fleeting moment of financial relief? I need to think this over, Maria finally said, feeling overwhelmed. Of course. The man stepped back, his expression shifting, revealing a hint of impatience. You have until tomorrow to let me know. With that, he turned on his heel and walked out the door, leaving them in a stunned silence. The room was heavy with contemplation, the bright ideas they had shared moments ago dimmed to mere whispers. What just happened? Alex finally broke the silence, his enthusiasm drained. Is it worth the risk? Maria pondered aloud. What if this takes us down a path we don't want to go? Or what if it's our only shot? Sophia suggested, her voice measured yet anxious. We have to consider the implications of not taking it. The needs in our community are real. As doubts ricocheted in her mind, Maria looked around the room. Mabel sat with narrowed eyes, clearly weighing the pros and cons. Alex's brow was furrowed, and Sophia's lips pressed together in thoughtful contemplation. We can't let fear dictate our choices, Mabel finally said, her determination bubbling back to the surface. Let us take this seriously. But we shouldn't rush. Agreed, Alex chimed in. Let us list out our concerns, our goals, and discuss every angle. Maria felt a wash of reassurance as they gathered together again, making sense of everything. They needed to find a balance between ambition and integrity. But as they started writing down their thoughts, another knock broke the fragile calm. Maria's heart thudded again, anxiety spiking. Who is it now? She muttered, apprehension flooding her senses. Shall we find out? Mabel replied, her tone slightly playful despite the tension, clearly trying to lighten the mood. Alex opened the door once more, revealing a woman standing with a fierce and determined expression, heavy bags dangling from her arms. "I heard you might need some help," she said, stepping in with a confidence that instantly captivated them. "Wait, who are you?" Maria asked, feeling the swell of curiosity replace some of her anxiety. "I'm someone who has seen enough and is ready for a change," she replied, her eyes shining with urgency. "And I think I might have answers you didn't expect." The room buzzed again, this time with a new energy of possibility. But as Maria's heartbeat began to calm, she couldn't shake the feeling that with every offer came a new challenge. What was this woman truly bringing with her? Would it lead them closer to their dreams, or push them deeper into the unknown? The woman stepped further into the room, and the energy shifted instantly. Maria studied her closely. There was a fierceness in her posture, a fire that ignited curiosity but also unease. "I'm Ava," she introduced herself, her voice carrying a weight that filled the space. "I've been following your work, the community plans, and I think I can help. Those resources you were just talking about? I know how to get them without giving up control." "Without strings attached?" Maria asked, skepticism creeping into her voice. It was a thin line they were walking, vulnerability balanced against ambition. "Exactly." Ava leaned in, her intensity undeterred. "I used to work for a nonprofit that fell victim to restrictive funding. I learned the hard way what it means to compromise essential values for cash." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. "You're bright-eyed and eager. I admire that. But I don't want you to lose sight of who you are in this process." Sophia crossed her arms, digesting the information. "How can you help us, then?" Ava dropped her bags to the floor, and they thudded heavily against the ground as if marking a new beginning. "I have connections, people ready to invest in community-driven projects. They don't want the publicity. They just want to make a difference. I can set up meetings, get the ball rolling. You can articulate your vision without losing ownership." Maria felt a spark ignite within her. The thought of having true allies resonated deeply with what they had long envisioned, but doubts loomed large. "Why do you care about us?" she asked, her voice steady but laced with the need to understand. "I've been where you are. I fought hard for funding and I lost my way. I don't want that for you. I want better for your community, and I'm willing to stand with you." Ava's sincerity shone bright, illuminating the path ahead. Alex looked at Maria, eyebrows raised in wonder. "This could be our chance," he whispered, hope blooming on his face. But Maria's heart raced, caught between excitement and caution. It was one thing to chase after the promise of support, and another to blindly pursue it, without ensuring their integrity remained intact. "What's the catch?" Mabel interjected, ever wary. "Nothing is ever free." Ava nodded, seeming to appreciate Mabel's critical approach. "You'll have to show me your plans in depth. Lay out your vision. I need to believe in you all as much as you need to believe in the path ahead. If I do, then I'll fight for you." As the words settled in, Maria could feel the momentum of hope swirling. They'd have to present their ideas honestly, to lay their hopes bare in front of a stranger. But what if they exposed their hearts and still faced rejection? "Can we take some time to think about this?" Maria asked, her voice steady, searching for clarity amid her racing thoughts. "Absolutely," Ava replied, a small smile gracing her lips. "But I urge you to decide quickly. Good opportunities fade, but I believe in this community. I believe in you." The moment hung between them, charged with possibility yet thick with uncertainty. As Ava stood there, the tension shifted again, this time filled with a sense of urgency. They had an impending decision weighing heavily on their hearts. Maria stole glances at the faces of her friends. Each one echoed the mixture of hope and worry flitting through her mind. Could they dare to leap into the unknown again? Just then, the door swung open, and the man from earlier appeared in the doorway once more, a calculating look in his eyes. "I hope you've made your decision." Time seemed to freeze. The offer they discussed with Ava hung in the air like a promise yet to be kept, while the man's presence casting secondary shadows over their aspirations. What do we really want? Maria thought, her heart pounding. Because now they faced not one, but two choices that could reshape their future forever. How would they choose when both paths carried risks and rewards? Ava glanced at the man, her expression shifting to something more guarded. The warmth in the room chilled as tension bloomed. Maria felt the heaviness in the air. A wall between two worlds that had suddenly collided. The man's presence demanded attention, yet his features were still shrouded in mystery. "Who are you?" Ava asked, her voice steady, but there was an edge to it, a clear warning. "I'm here to see if our friend Maria here is ready to make a real decision," he said smoothly, his smile lacking genuine warmth. "How about we cut to the chase? What's your plan? This little gathering is fun and all, but time is money." The weight of that comment hung over them, emphasizing their struggles. Maria's heartbeat thundered in her ears. She felt the ground beneath her shift, dragged into a bargaining game she didn't want to play. A decision about what? Maria found her voice, though it trembled slightly. "You don't represent us. Not here. Not now." The man took a step forward, confidence rolling off him in waves. "Oh, but I do represent a lot of what you want. Resources, stability, opportunity. You can either invest in some charming dream that might never exist or consider a more immediate reality." Ava stepped forward, placing herself between Maria and the man. "And what do you offer?" she challenged. "Strings, I'm sure." "Strings?" He chuckled, a sound that felt more like a threat. "Or perhaps a lifeline. You're trying to save your community, but dreams don't fill bellies. The world doesn't operate on good intentions alone." Sophia shivered at his words, while Mabel stood with her arms crossed tightly. Alex shifted his weight, clearly unsettled. Maria watched as frustration clouded her friends' faces, sensing they were beginning to wrestle with doubt. "Enough of this," Ava interrupted, her voice fierce. "I offered them a choice filled with solidarity, and what you're presenting is control coated in shiny promises. They deserve more than that." The man scoffed, his bravado undeterred. "Entitlement doesn't earn respect. You want something, you must pay for it with effort or compromise. What's it going to be?" Maria looked into the eyes of her friends, searching for an answer in their expressions. She felt the split forming within their unity, the gnawing tension pushing them apart. They had long fought against oppressive choices, and yet here they were, facing demands that could undermine everything. "Maria, we should consider his offer," Alex started, voice uncertain. "Could be a path." "No," Maria snapped, surprising herself. "We can't just sell ourselves or our ideals to buy time. We've worked too hard for this." The man eyed her with a cool calculation, his smile fading. "You think your morals can stand up against survival? We'll see how long you cling to that when the hunger sets in." A profound silence enveloped the room, thick with unsaid fears. Maria felt bile rise in her throat. Would they really have to betray their values for the sake of security? Ava stepped back slightly, allowing Maria to take the space. "You need to trust your instincts, Maria. You are the heart of this movement. Share what you believe." But Maria felt the weight of the moment pressing on her. Whose heart did she follow? There was Ava with potential and passion, and a man who promised resources that could light the dark corners of their reality. She started, uncertainty knotting her stomach. "I don't know who to trust." Before the silence could deepen, the man interjected, "Then think quickly. I'll be waiting." With that, he turned on his heel, fading into the shadows of the corridor, leaving behind a palpable tension that crackled like static. The room felt smaller, the air thicker. Maria felt a storm brewing inside her, a mix of fire and doubt. "What if I choose wrong?" she whispered to the friend she could still count on. Ava stepped closer, voice steady and firm. "You won't know until you step forward. Trust yourself." "In the end," Mabel said softly, "it's not just about the money. It's about who we become in the process." The stark reality loomed ahead, the choices spiraling out, like branches of a tree, promising different futures. But which path would lead them home? They had a decision to make, and time was slipping away. Could they defend their community's values, or were they destined to be trapped in the same old cycles? Concern laced their eyes as they exchanged glances, each one of them knowing that whatever choice they made from here could change everything. Would they stand their ground for what they believed in, or would fear drive them to accept a deal they could never turn back from? Maria felt the pull of urgency grow stronger. The question was clear. Were they ready to face the truth, no matter how difficult it might be? Maria took a deep breath, trying to ground herself. The walls felt like they were closing in, the voices of her friends becoming a mere echo around her. She couldn't ignore the man's words. The directness of his challenge pressed against her mind. Resources, stability, opportunity. What were those worth if they came with a price she couldn't afford to pay? Maria, Sophia said, her voice a soft beacon amid the noise of her thoughts. We trust you, but we need to stand together. Whatever you decide, we need to do it as one. The room stirred slightly as Mabel stood beside Sophia, nodding in agreement. Their eyes sparkled with a mix of hope and fear, a reflection of their shared purpose. Maria felt a flicker of strength in their solidarity, but lingering doubts still danced in her heart. Maybe he is right, Alex murmured, his gaze shifting between the door where the man had exited and the group. What if waiting and hoping just leads to more suffering? Hope is all we have, Ava replied fiercely. If we want to change things, we can't give up on who we are. Nervously, Maria ran her fingers through her hair, a gesture that always calmed her. But what if I'm being naive? She confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. As she expressed her fear, silence enveloped them like a thick fog. Each friend was left to grapple with the potential consequences of their actions. Maria's thoughts drifted to the countless faces in their community, families hungry and searching, kids seeking a brighter future. The weight of her decision felt monumental. Would sacrificing their values for stability truly make things better? She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to imagine a future where they were thriving, not just surviving. Ava broke through her reverie, her tone softer now. In times like this, it's easy to lose sight of what matters. We need to stay true to ourselves. Maria nodded slowly, knowing deep down this was her fight to lead. If we talk to him again, it needs to be on our terms. We won't let him dictate our worth. Alex sighed, uncertainty flickering across his face. But is that enough? What if he makes a proposal that sounds too good to refuse? Sophia placed a reassuring hand on Alex's shoulder. We're strong together. We've always been a team. We can question, we can push back. Maria felt the warmth of her friend's support seep into her heart. You're right. If we choose this path, we do it knowing the risks but also knowing we're not alone. As the group nodded in agreement, a sense of clarity settled in. They needed to take back control, not just for themselves but for everyone counting on them. Tomorrow, Maria directed, her voice stronger now. We talk to him again. We take back that power. If he wants us to consider his offer, he'll hear us. We won't be cornered. The momentum shifted in the room as they rallied around her words, reclaiming their shared vision. Yet even as Maria felt a sense of purpose, a nagging voice whispered in her mind. Would that truly be enough? As night began to blanket the sky outside, a strange calm washed over her. They were headed into uncertainty, but for the first time in a while, Maria felt the flicker of determination spark inside her. No more living in fear. They were going to demand respect, no matter what came next. Just then, a soft knock at the door broke through their resolve. Maria exchanged glances with her friends, anxiety painting the air once more. Who would dare to interrupt them now? As the door creaked open, a familiar face emerged. It was the man striding back into their space, an unreadable expression commanding attention. Maria's heart raced. What now? We need to talk, he announced, voice dripping with a mix of invitation and threat. What new game was he playing and how would they respond? Maria stood her ground as the man entered, a tension filling the air that felt almost suffocating. Her friends shifted uneasily, glancing at each other, their eyes full of uncertainty. Listen, he began, his tone poised. I've had some time to think about the way this conversation went earlier. He stepped further into the room, the door clicking shut behind him. You all have potential. And I see a future for you, one that doesn't need to be dictated by fear or instability. Maria clenched her fists, the urge to challenge him flaring inside her. And what do you want in return for this so-called future? Direct. I like that, he said, a smirk playing on his lips. I propose a partnership. In exchange for your support, I can provide resources, funding for your projects, perhaps even a space to help your community grow. And at what cost? Sophia snapped, stepping forward protectively. What strings are attached? His gaze swept over the group, considering their unity. You're smart, he acknowledged. But I'm going to be upfront. This partnership isn't just about charitable donations, it comes with expectations and accountability. Maria felt a knot form in her stomach. Expectations? Like what? I'm willing to offer you a significant budget for your initiatives. I expect reports on the outcomes, transparency in how funds are used, and a commitment from you to engage your community. But here's the real twist, he said, his eyes narrowing. There's a challenge I want you to take on. If you can achieve specific goals, I will invest even more. Show me the difference you can make. What kind of specific goals? Alex asked, his brow furrowing. Maybe it's helping a certain number of families, or bringing in a new job training program. Whatever you choose, I want measurable outcomes. It's an opportunity for the community, but you have to prove it's worth it. The room fell silent, feelings of hope tangled up with distrust. Maria's heart raced as she tried to piece his proposal together, weighing the implicit risks and the potential rewards, her mind reeling with the pressure. What happens if we refuse? Ava's voice broke through. His smile faltered, replaced by a steely look. Then your community will continue to struggle, and I'll look for someone else who's braver to step up. All four friends felt his words sink in like a stone, heavy and unyielding. Maria exchanged glances with her friends. Was it foolish to even entertain this man's offer? Their values hung in the balance. Why should we believe you have our best interests at heart? Maria asked, her voice steady though inside she was trembling. You come here throwing money around like it's a game. What happens when it's no longer profitable for you? There's risk in everything, he replied, surprisingly calm. You want to change the world? It's about taking chances. I want you to think about it. You have power here more than you know. With that, he turned to leave but paused just before the door. You have my number. Let me know when you're ready to take on the challenge. And remember, the clock's ticking. As the door shut behind him, the weight of his offer hung heavily in the room. What are we going to do? Mabel finally whispered, breaking the silence. Maria stared into the faces of her friends, an emotional tempest swirling in her chest. We unite. We have to weigh our choices meticulously. It's time to decide what we can live with, and what sacrifices we're willing to make. They had just bent their knees to a giant, but with determination shining in their hearts, Maria felt the need to lead them forward. The path ahead blurred, crackling with potential and fear. Just then her phone buzzed on the table. It was a message. She reached for it, confusion blooming as she read. Tomorrow, if you choose the path, there will be consequences. You won't be ready. Her pulse quickened. Who could have known her thoughts? What did they want to keep from her? The morning sun peeked through the curtains, casting warm rays across the room like hope spilling in. Maria woke with a sense of urgency beating in her chest. She was cradled between choices, one path filled with risks, and the other promising familiarity. The last night had spun her world, twisting her mind in circles of uncertainty. Her friends gathered in the plush living room, coffee steaming, each face reflecting the weight they all carried. Maria could feel their eyes on her, their silent questions pressing her to lead. Today wasn't just about her. It was about everyone they'd come to represent. Okay, Maria started, her voice trembling but determined. We have to decide today. Alex nodded, his brow creasing in thought. What are we willing to risk for our community? This isn't just about us. It's bigger than that. Mabel took a deep breath, raising her hand for silence. We've come so far together. No matter what we choose, we should lay down our intentions before anyone. We can't lose ourselves just for funds. A flicker of comfort washed over Maria, knowing they were in this battle together. The man's offer is tempting, Sophia chimed in, her tone cautious, but the conditions are severe. How do we prove ourselves while still staying true to our mission? He's set up a game we didn't choose to play. Ava replied, her voice fierce. We can't let him dictate our worth. There's power in our vision. Let us own that. Maria stood a bit taller, feeling the fire ignite within her. We either fight for our community on our own terms, or we risk our souls by letting someone else do it for us. They all fell into contemplation, weighing the dangers of stepping into someone else's mold versus the risks of dwindling away due to inaction. Let us think practically, Alex said, his tone objective. If we choose the man's way, we might get the funding we need but lose the creative freedom. If we take our time and build community trust, it could take longer, but we'll control our vision. Trust is crucial, Mabel added. It's not just about what we can gain. It's about what we're willing to lose. The conversation spiraled, flowing as naturally as the breeze dancing through the open doors. Ideas bounced, growing bolder, rooted in hope but shadowed by doubt. Let us reach out to the community today. Maria leaped into action, her heart racing with a blend of motivation and fear. Let us not let either option corner us. Let us see who stands with us. As the women nodded, a plan took root. They would engage with families, hear the needs firsthand, and ground their actions in the experiences of those they aimed to uplift. It was about people, not just profit. Hours later, surrounded by laughter and gratitude, Maria felt the warmth of the neighborhood embracing them as they held a small gathering in the park. Families arrived, children spun around like dervishes, chasing each other through grassy fields. It was a lush tapestry of community spirit, a vivid reminder of everything they hoped to build together. "See this," Maria said, tears brimming in her eyes as she watched the families mingling. "This is why we fight. Together." The conversations flowed, fueled by shared fears and aspirations. They collected stories, pooling them like priceless gems, and with each hug and smile, Maria felt her heart swell. They were illuminated by this human connection, each moment driving home the reality this was worth fighting for. As the sun dipped lower, creating a molten horizon, Maria took a deep breath. She sent a text to the man, finding some clarity among the chaos. "We have a proposition. We want to work from the ground up. Ensuring voice and choice is at every level of our plans." With that message sent, Maria knew they'd taken control, reclaiming their narrative. The lingering storm of uncertainty crackled with electricity in her veins, sparking excitement. That night, back under the warm glow of lights, the women huddled around a table, their spirits alive with shared laughter and the vision they had crafted together. "I believe in this," Ava said, her voice firm. "We trust ourselves and we stand together." "Yeah," cheered Lena, wiping away tears of joy. "We are the dreamers and the doers," Maria declared, feeling a rush of adrenaline. With unity forming a shield around them, they solidified their strength, their purpose written not just in plans and resources, but within the tapestry of a community willing to rise together. Maria smiled, feeling a lightness in her heart. They were the makers of their own destiny, sealed in that moment, powerful, authentic, and unwavering. Tomorrow they would meet that man again, with their terms defined and their mission anchored firmly in the love and commitment they felt for their community. No more shadows crept around their ambitions. Only the promise of hope glimmered before them, guiding every step into the unknown. And with that, they became the change they sought to ignite, ready to step into the world together. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this energy alive. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending Your Voice Matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Stand with us, as only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.